Welcome to the Legal Merry-Go-Round.
Welcome back to the Legal Merry-Go-Round with attorney Paul Samakow, a long-time personal injury lawyer helping injured people throughout the DC metro area to get treated fairly after an accident. I'm LeAnn Lyon, and today we're talking about contributory negligence, a rule that applies in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and how even a small amount of fault can completely block recovery. Hello, Paul. It's nice to see you.
Good morning. Pleasure to be here again with you.
So, Paul, the term contributory, I stumble on that one, funny. Negligence sounds technical. What does it actually mean in plain English?
Well, the word contributory is just a longer version of the word contribute. And Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. Employ a very, very harsh rule. There's only two other states in the country that have this evidentiary rule. If you contribute at all to the occurrence of the accident, you're not allowed to recover anything. So as just a real simple example, there's two cars approaching each other towards an intersection, and one individual believes that he can make a left turn, that he has time to do so, and the other individual is exceeding the speed limit by double or triple. Maybe it's a 35-mile-an-hour zone, and he's going 90. There's no question that the guy driving 90 miles an hour is negligent. No question. But the guy who tries to make the left turn in front of him doesn't make it. He is considered to be at least 1% negligent, because the law says that you're not allowed to make a turn in front of oncoming traffic unless it's clear to go. And the fact that there was an automobile collision, it wasn't clear to go. So that person making that left turn is not allowed to make any recovery at all. Very, very, very harsh rule that the legislatures in these states have tried over and over and over again to repeal, to allow for a different type of circumstance in recovery. And it's just not happening here yet. So very, very harsh.
I have to ask, what's blocking that appeal?
The answer is the insurance industry.
Okay.
The insurance industry loves this because they don't have to pay anything. Now, in all the other states in the United States, we have what is called comparative negligence.
Wow.
But these 5 states and the 3 right where I practice law. So in a situation like I've just described, let's just suppose the guy who made the left turn is considered to be, I don't know, 5% at fault. And that's always a negotiation. I mean, there's no absolute, but let's just agree everybody says it's 5% the guy making the left turn. Well, in a normal situation, he might be expected to receive $100. But since he's 5% at fault, well, now he only gets $95.
Wow. Wow. Okay. And it's a 47 state to 3 state ratio. Excellent.
Right.
Okay.
No, it's 45 and 5.
45 and 5. Okay. I
Right.
misheard the number. So what are
Massachusetts and Kentucky are the other two with very strong insurance lobbies and what I like to call dunderheads.
Hmm, interesting. So what are the common arguments insurance companies use to place at least some blame on that person?
Well, LeAnn, it's always fact driven. Making a left turn in front of oncoming traffic is an easy one. The ones that are, more difficult are speed. I mean, the law says that the speed is 35 miles an hour. So it's not unusual if the police officer comes and asks the person what their speed was and they say 37 miles. I was going over just a little bit, officer. Insurance companies will jump on that and deny the claim because they'll say that he wasn't obeying the law, he was negligent and going over the speed limit. That type of argument in particular often causes litigation, because the question is, did his going 2 miles an hour over the limit contribute to the accident? And that's just fact determinate. Um, when you have two vehicles driving side by side and one, hits the other, they go into their lane. So that's another fact determinant, really what happened. Are there photos that show debris on my side or your side? This type of thing. So um, if I contributed, then I get zero. We have we have situations where individuals do what we call pumping. They're in front of me, and all of a sudden they pump their brakes, and I was like, I had no time, and so I hit them from behind. Fact determinant. Can I prove they pumped? Again, there's just so many different examples, but trust. Any time an insurance company can find any wiggle room, boy, they're dancing the jig. I mean, they don't want to pay. So, what reason or excuse can they find or use to deny? And the unfortunate situation is that when they do deny, then there's a discussion as to whether or not it's worthwhile filing a lawsuit and going to court. So, they win at least, by keeping the case, the money in their coffers until and unless they lose the case in court.
What about outside influences? Like you said, debris on the road, delayed turn signal, a distraction. How does that play into it all?
Well, again, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm trying to just repeat myself, but it's all fact determinant. Again, I mean, you offered an idea, delayed turn signal. Well, did I have a green arrow? That's my example that I started with this morning. If I had a green arrow, I'm allowed to make that turn. So we might have to go investigate light sequencing and timing. But even if we understand that the green arrow comes once every, minute and 45 seconds, that doesn't establish when I went through, unless, there's a camera with a clock on it. And so then we could kind of match those up. I mean, these are, again, very, very detailed analysis of the given facts in a given situation. And often, unfortunately, for individuals who get hurt, you know, the proof isn't just it just isn't there. When you go to court, you have to have a preponderance of the evidence. And translated, that means 51%. So if it ends up being my word against your word, it's not that I lose, but I don't win because I didn't have that scintilla more evidence to prove what happened.
After somebody I love was in an accident, and had a dash cam in place, that one actually solved very quickly. Now everyone I in my family has a dash cam. Does
Yeah.
that help in these situations sometimes?
Very big proponent of using dash cams. Yeah, that's a wealth of evidence, and they are amazing. And even, with police officers who have these dash cams that are required in so many places now. And when the police come, of course, that's after the collision, but then the individual who would be theoretically responsible makes an admission, yeah, I didn't know what I was doing, or I'm sorry, I didn't see him. Um, that can help tremendously when a day or two or three later, that person decides to start lying to his insurance company and saying that, no, the other guy was at fault, and blah, 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 blah. And so the insurance company denies, and then we get what's called a FOIA uh, request. We make a FOIA request. FOIA is FOIA, that stands for Freedom of Information Act. We send that to the local police and ask for dash cam footage. And lo and behold, there that person is making an admission that I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't see him. And all of a sudden, the insurance adjuster's like, well, okay, all right, fine. I guess I'm going to pay this. So, yeah, those cameras are amazing.
Yeah. In fact, when he just offered the footage, they didn't even request it. They're like, "We're good,"
Yeah, that's
because they
right.
just knew what was really going to be on that
That's
footage.
right.
Crazy, but it did solve that much more quickly that way. Um, Does this rule apply the same way in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, or are there important differences that people should understand?
Yes, it does apply the same. Washington, D.C. has a little bit of a different, more lenient tack on contributory negligence if it involves a pedestrian. In a pedestrian situation, there's a little bit more leniency, but for the most part, it's the same. If you're even 1% at fault, bye bye.
The pedestrian themselves could be at fault, not just another
Right.
vehicle.
Well, the pedestrian could be a little at fault. If they're completely at fault or even half, then no good. Right.
Right.
So a lot of times those involve stepping into the street, on a walk, don't walk. Uh, and if it's just seconds, then, there's a little bit of room to wiggle there and get, recovery for those people.
So, what can be done if somebody has been in an accident? They feel that they did not contribute to it. Is that where you step in?
Well, again, I mean, my office, we investigate cases, we listen to what the potential client is saying, and we'd make a determination if we want to try and go forward and help them. If later we find out that unfortunately they contributed, we have to call them and drop the case. Um, that doesn't mean that there's nothing that can be done, but it's not going to be against the other party. I'm a strong advocate of telling people to get good insurance coverage. So there's other benefits that are available through their own insurance to help pay medical bills. In Virginia, it's called MedPay or medical expense benefits. Um, in Washington, D.C., and in Maryland, it's called personal injury protection. It's abbreviated PIP. And these benefits can be used. A lot of times I get, pushback from clients. No, I don't want to use it. My insurance premiums are going to go up. That's wrong thinking. That is probably the result of what some insurance salesperson or agent told them. Well, you don't want to use that. So the analysis is if the premium does go up for using it, which it won't, let's suppose it goes up $50 a year. So would you rather not have it go up $50 a year and deny yourself the benefits, which could be thousands of dollars, or would you rather use the benefit, get the thousands of dollars and suffer the 50 bucks? The analogy that I like to talk about is the movie theater ticket. When you buy the movie theater ticket, you're allowed to go in and sit down and get in line and buy popcorn and use the bathroom. Well, what if somebody comes over and taps you on the shoulder when you're sitting there, you know, getting ready to watch the movie and they say, "Oh, you want to sit down? That's an extra $3." You'd look at them like they were crazy. No, I got the ticket that entitles me to watch, the movie from a seat. So it's the same thing with, insurance. You pay for premiums, you have certain benefits and coverages, and you're allowed to use them, and they're not allowed to charge more for it or cancel you. So again, I mean, I've had many conversations with people who are uninformed and that, that knowledge, that preconceived fear is often placed by the insurance companies who tell them, well, don't use your premiums, your insurance is going to go up. And that, that freezes people. They don't know what to do, or they just refuse to use their own insurance, which is a big mistake.
Can you walk us through an example where the issue of partial fault became the central battle in the case?
Yeah, I mean, I've had many cases over the years. I've been doing this, where's the time gone? 46 and a half years at this point has been my career. And it's like, oh my goodness. But, a lot of times this is, again, I just keep going back to that intersection collision situation where, the client said they had the green light, the green arrow, and the other person claims that you know, they had the right of way and there was no green arrow. And evidence again is fact specific. Is there a witness? Is there somebody who can testify? Yeah, that Mr. Jones was right in front of me and he had the green arrow and I saw him and I was going to follow him, but then the crash occurred and the other guy obviously ran a red light. It's a very very fact dependent situation where that the what we call the liability is a very very crucial determination. And many of my clients who, unfortunately are found to be somewhat contributory, share with me, oh, but back surgery or, they're horrible, horrible injuries. And you feel horrible for them. As a human being, you don't want to see suffering by anybody in any circumstance. But we never get to a discussion of how bad the injury is or what the damages and the compensation should be if we find that they contributed to the accident. It's like two doors. You don't get to the second door to determine the damages and how much compensation is appropriate until you've cleared the first door.
Well, this is a little scary to hear all this, but the facts, as we know, are the facts. So, for someone who knows that they might have made a small mistake before a crash, what should they understand about how that issue will be evaluated, or what can they do?
I like to share the thinking that I remind myself of virtually every single day, 10 times a day. You don't know what you don't know. And most people are not attorneys, and most people do not understand the law. And so if I have a question about something, I'm going to go to a professional and ask. It doesn't hurt. If you've been involved in a car accident and you think, hey, maybe I was at fault, well, maybe you were, but maybe you weren't. Go and talk to an attorney and find out, what the attorney has to say. And sometimes it might be that your perception of things is not correct. You don't know what you don't know. And so maybe you have a good case. Um, Anytime someone gets hurt, I think it's appropriate to get medical care and to get a legal analysis. I mean, it's just, why not? Medical care is appropriate and necessary. You want to get better. You want to get well. You want to get better. You want to be able to take little Johnny to the soccer game next week, and you can't do that if you have, all these injuries. Doctor might be able to fix you up and you can take little Johnny to the soccer game. Who knows? And the legal is about compensation. A lot of people don't have money to pay medical bills. They don't have health insurance. They don't have the ability to stay out of work and this income. Speaking to an attorney might turn that table and like, so all of a sudden, okay, great. Now they are looking at getting compensation for all of those things. So yeah, I mean, it's appropriate to speak to someone who does know what they're talking about most of the time.
Well, Paul, that actually gives me a bit of peace. So thank you for sharing that as well. And to our audience, that is it for today's episode of the Legal Merry-Go-Round. If you have been injured in the DC metro area and are concerned about the insurance company and what they're trying to do, maybe shifting blame onto you, attorney Paul Samakow and his team are here to help you get treated fairly. To learn more or to schedule a free strategy session, visit samakowlaw.com. And don't forget to like, subscribe to the show, and leave a review if you found this episode helpful. Thank you, Paul.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.